what do I do? So JJ Middleway, and someone asked me this recently in Scotland, and more recently I've started answering. I'm Druid Celebrant and Priest. And I know that word is emotive and has baggage with it, not least with me in my Catholic upbringing. And I would never have dreamt I'd say that. But I'm a priest of the earth. That's how I see it. And I'm serving the earth Mother, the goddess, and Sky Father. And so that's where my life has taken me. And that's what I do, celebrant, ritualist, priest. Connects me to nature. My whole life has become about nature, but I'm not always in nature. So through the lockdown, funnily enough, I was offering and will offer again weekly earth services, singing, and that became global grove, as I call it. And there's a real call for that and a need to come together. And I offer also something called Sovereign Earth. And these are, the vision for that is that for humanity to hold nature as sacred again. I'm going to repeat that because it's so important. For humanity to hold nature as being sacred again. It's so simple at one level and we've lost it. And so I offer these, they have the regular broadcasts. They're like beads on a thread, each one, humility, kindness, compassion, love and humor, all the things that we're not necessarily specifically taught at school, soul. And yeah, and I obviously value, I've just come back from a sailing trip in the Western Isles of Scotland, came out of the blue. I had 3 days notice, an old school friend. I've not had huge connection to the ocean before, but oh my goodness, an immersion in every way, a total immersion into the world of the ocean, blessed by dolphins. They came, I was singing for half an hour, and then these dolphins, and now somebody else said this, I think your singing drove them off, but and they might well have been, but the fact, this coincidence, sitting, and I called to the ocean. I just celebrated and called to the ocean, and then the dolphins appeared, and they just swam alongside for about 5-10 minutes, jumping out, about 20 of them. I've never seen anything like it. So that's this week, that's a few days ago, but I could relate many tales of how nature supports, infuses, heals me. Medicine, singing, earth, and humor. Wonder. But what comes to mind when you ask that question, whether land healed or saved me, where I go back to is a quarter of a century ago nearly. I took myself off specifically, and also not knowing, I took myself off to a favorite tree. I had done a pilgrimage around that time as part of my ovate studies, as part of my delving deeper into who I was. And I went around all the ancient yew trees of Britain. And one of them particularly is a favorite in Wales. It's hollow. I went back. I didn't know what would happen at one level, but I think my soul did. I entered that tree and I stayed inside that tree for 3 days and 3 nights without food and without water. Now, I wouldn't recommend this for anyone. I'm not saying that's what, I don't think that was a clever thing to do in a bodily or a mind way. And yet at a soul level, it was precisely what I needed. It changed my life. The tree, the earth, and my relationship to water, interestingly, changed forever. Because when I came out and went to a spring down the lane, I tasted the drop of water is pure magic. I hadn't had any for 72 hours. And it's a magical substance. So that whole experience, and obviously there was more to it, but that was a healing, a revitalizing, re-energizing, and refocusing on my life. It brought me into alignment with my purpose, ultimately, although I didn't know that at the time, to be honest. I can only see that now with clarity. Well, there are many, but I'll tell you this, and it's true, it's totally true. My current wife, Fleur, when I first went out with her, first met her, we went to Glastonbury for the day. first day out together. We went up the Tor, we shared a meal in town, and we explored, went to Chalicewell, but we went up on Weary All Hill. There's a hill up in Glastonbury called Weary All Hill, and it was around dusk. Now, we had seen starlings flying. It was the 15th of February, 5 years ago. And what happened was we heard this noise, and we were near the brow of the hill, and this flock, it's more than a murmuration of starlings came over the hill and engulfed us. It completely engulfed us. We couldn't quite touch them. I mean, just about ceiling height. And as far to the left and to the right, as you could see, and this presence and this strange noise, because they're not making any sound in song, but their wings. And it was completely overwhelming in a sense, but awe-inspiring. And what are the odds on that happening? It's never happened to me before. I don't know anyone else who it's happened to. That moment in my life and in Fleur's life. And what do starlings later? A friend showed me. What are starlings communicating? Some amazing event happening or about to happen. I mean, well, something beautiful, and it was so affirming and so utterly obvious. Well, it was in tune with where we were, and just to cap it all, we went to Avebury a couple of days later, and I've never seen starlings at Avebury. There was a murmuration of starlings at Avebury, and the only time I've seen them there. Anyway, that's true, and I think nature holds so many clues, affirmations, but I think, yeah, it's always talking and communicating. It's whether I'm open enough to be hearing or listening. Well, we haven't done a very successful job of looking after, as custodians and stewards of our Earth Mother. And I think we're going to pay, and we are paying, but we're going to pay a hefty price. I only know, I'm going to sing the answer, actually, in the moment. I am the land, that is all that I am. I am the land, that is all that I am. I am the land that is all around me. I am the land that is all that I am. So why did that come up for me? Because I am the land. I speak for myself, but I believe it to be universally true. I am the land, and the land is me. What I do to the land, I do to myself. I'm going to be in tears if I'm not careful, because what I am doing, what we are doing communally to the land, is crazy. It's nuts. I mean, how could we treat a loved one as we do? And I love this earth, and I think in our hearts and in our souls we all love the earth, and it's painful to witness, and I do what I can to remedy that, but it starts with changing myself. That's where I come from. A passion for this earth I feel. You can edit this out if you want. A passion for this earth I feel. Compassion which is so, so real. My blood flows through earth's larval veins. My tears reflected in her rains. They are the winds which circulate this earth. Breathe in and out of me from birth. The cyclic rhythms of her tides. Unmatched by how I feel inside, yet most remarkable of all. Open your hearts to hear the call. The essence which I know is me is here in everything I see. And that's how I feel. And I wrote that many years ago, and it's just as heartfelt and true now as it ever was, more so perhaps.
Thank you, JJ.
Do I have a challenge? Well, given that I talked of trees, and trees are very much part of my path and my relationship to life and the wisdom of trees, my stretch, it is a stretch, but it could be significantly more a stretch. I'm not going to ask people to go for 3 days and 3 nights inside a tree. That's a little much too far of a stretch. But here's the challenge. find a tree, your favorite tree, perhaps, and I would love you to spend the night with that tree, either bivvying out, if it's lying, being with it overnight. And I firmly believe you will receive a wondrous gift in return for doing that.
Great.